2001 Honda Civic. Hearing those words when added together already bring together an idea of what this car is without considering the fact that this Civic is one of the most anti-Civics of them all. What do I mean by that? Well, let me explain.
Hondas are reliable,
Says your dad, who only last opened a hood when a carburetor was under it. Not this one. Say hello to a blown head gasket, oil leakage, spotty camshaft position sensor, among other fluid leaks. The automatic transmission of this car has already become famous for its problems, but if you're an aspiring car guy about to enter the malaise jungle of late high school, so how dare I say that word? Surely the manual is safe from these problems. No. You get others spiced in the flaming Taipei that was put in the microwave too long. Your simple and cheap overseas lunch does not want to cooperate, and neither does this car. If you have 3 pedals in your car, you'll have a scraping input shaft bearing, more fluid leaks, and the inability to engine brake from that pesky bearing. This car wouldn't make it onto the top 10 worst cars of carcomplaints.com and be the most recalled car ever made if it weren't such a disgrace to engineering and design. Civics are practical, added Mom. Well, if all you care for is luggage space, then this car is better than you would expect. As long as you're okay with that cargo getting wet when even your homemade RTV trunk gasket fails to keep out rainwater. As far as it goes for the inside of the car, you'll only find adequate headroom if you're a 5'5" or under. I am 2 inches shorter than the average 5'9" American male, and my head still rests dangerously close to the uppermost reach of the A-pillar.
It can fit 5 people,
Dad reasoned. No, not in comfort. Those seats are not FRS, BRZ, or Toyota 86 bad, but your inch of knee room is counteracted by the headroom once again. Hairs still remain trapped in the edge of the dome light from the last unfortunate middle seat passenger.
It looks sporty,
blurted Dad, really trying to get you to like the car. I disagree. The Civic has always been Honda's test pilot for their new design languages that they use throughout the brand. This particular Civic's stubby snout makes the rakish coupe lines and swept rear awkwardly converge at the front like a crowd going through a singular door. It looks like the front of a Honda Odyssey was half-cut and was combined via welding with a pre-existing design. Now, this was all done just to make it easier to park for the careless drivers who bought this car when it was new. And when it was new, the door panels matched. When it was new, it came with a headliner and a trunk floor. And when it was new, it didn't have $300 aftermarket wheels where one of the rears has a suspiciously unequal camber.
Crash damage.
Now that's a lot of damage!
This last owner had to endure the pain of fixing these problems, among designing and piecing together a pressure release system to take the air out of his cooling system that the pistons unknowingly pumped into. Someone hired this guy because he didn't sign up for any of that shit. This car abuses its owners, and consequently, its owners abuse it. Now, it may seem that I loathe this 2001 Honda Civic EX, but I don't, and that would be hard to believe after everything I just said. Now hear me out here. Do any of you other teenagers remember that one episode of Family Guy, Season 10, Episode 3, where Quagmire's sister Brenda comes into town to stay with Quagmire with her boyfriend? Because if you watched that episode, you will recollect that Brenda was dating a human piece of trash who abused her mentally and physically, and somehow through everything, both of them were completely fine with it. It is a discomforting episode to watch, but it addresses a real issue, and one that applies to the 2001 Honda Civic. The Civic is Brenda, and no matter who it is, the owner is the boyfriend. The reason why the 2001 Honda Civic exists is because the only way to have fun with it is to push it to the limit of its capabilities until it fatally breaks. It sounds sick when you put it into the other context, but the 2001 Honda Civic is incompetent at fulfilling some of the basic requirements that any car should. At no fault to the owners, the cars slowly break down to the level that they enjoy being abused. Now, does it make sense why Hondas are typically first car material? But back on topic, if you think the owners of these cars are unfeeling monsters who don't try to keep their Civics in good shape, then look back at the Family Guy episode that I talked about. When Brenda showed Lois the black eye that she received from her boyfriend, she reasoned it, saying that his actions keep her productive and in check. While this certainly didn't sound believable, in the same scene she didn't even have the social intelligence to put her menu down in the restaurant to signify that she was ready to order. This part is why I picked this episode as my example that's completely off tangent. It was the moment in which you could see the problems on both sides of the relationship as both parties try to hold it together until one of them gives up. Now finally, this brings me to all the things that I like about the 2001 Honda Civic EX. Firstly is Turn-It. The same dustbuster vacuum-shaped front that maims the aesthetics of this car is its greatest ally in handling. You see no hood in front of you from the driver's seat, and the fact that the tiny engine is so small light, and close to the cabin gives it the predictable neutral characteristics that 50-50 weight distributed cars and front mid-engine cars love touting all too much through the mouths of journalists. The four-wheel independent suspension, RSX rear sway bar, which is put on by the owner, and the 215 tires, which are essentially slicks in the land of Civics, all work together to give the car slight and predictable understeer, and even just a hint of oversteer when the dial is turned to 11. People autocross these cars for a reason, because with more suspension goodies, this car can make someone very happy to learn the art of manual transmission and cornering without ending up in a tree. Just get one with a functional head gasket. Now, I do believe that anyone should be able to build any car they want without getting unnecessary shit for it. But you need to know, if you ever build one of these cars, that messing with the engine will do nothing. Just do intake and a muffler, please. This car makes 127 horsepower. It is slow by all standards, and yet I still find myself enjoying using what it makes with its respectable 7,200 RPM fuel cutoff and VTEC, which can be heard kicking in from the intake, which, yes, has one sticker put on it that came with the air filter. You told yourself, Robert, no jokes about Honda people this time. Anyways, this engine screams because it likes the beans, and it feels good knowing that even if the damn thing could take boost, you'd never make enough torque to get wheel spin. Yes, even with rain and snow driving, I have never witnessed any of it so long as the tires were good. Even the shifter encourages its use, even though it sucks at telling you if you're in gear or not. This car does want you to drive it, and when done right, you will want to drive it, as long as you do the mods the right way. I get the deal with Civics. It is the economy car designed for someone who doesn't hate himself, and beyond the ricers, the memes, and the people who don't know what they are doing, there is a way to make it fun, even though you know that every other mile draws closer to its last. This is a car that reminds you that getting thrown into your seat isn't the entirety of the experience, and it gave me a look into why people are so into Honda's darling little people mover. Don't buy this year, save yourself from that pain, but look for reliable model years on car complaints, test drive them, and see what I'm rambling on about. This 2,500-pound piece of junk may be abused and tortured in its very existence, but it's your piece of junk, and that was why your dad picked it out for you. You hate to admit it, but you will enjoy the years you'll have with it.